All right. Well, hey, happy Thursday, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to jump on for a product training. I know you all will be really blessed and leave here with a lot of knowledge. We have Rachael Neagle on tonight, who is just, in my book, as good as they get. She is one of my absolute dearest, most wonderful friends, and one of my best blessings from being in this business. Rachael and I met and sat right behind each other, or she sat right behind me on my first convention, and we always laugh and say, I mean, I just made a complete beeline. Like, I locked eyes with her, and I was like, I'm going to be her friend. You were just magnetic to me. And then as it unfolded, she just has an incredible knowledge and understanding of how these products work, what makes them so incredible, and how to speak to them. So I don't know if anyone out there is like me, but I did not get to my rank by knowing every single thing about all the ingredients. That wasn't the trick that I had in my bag. But that's the cool thing about all of us, that we all have different skills in this and different knowledge base, and we can use that to be successful in this business. And it's also incredible that we can utilize our sidelines and our friends and people that may have a different skill set to teach us. So that is exactly what Rachael is going to do for us here tonight. She knows a whole lot of stuff, y'all. I'm talking about people were wall to wall waiting to hear her speak last year.
I don't care if I have them, but yes.
Last year. So we are really blessed to be able to capture a little bit of her time here. Hold on just a second. I want to make sure everyone is muted. Here, I was hearing some noise. Okay, and I'll unmute. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to let Rachael go ahead and take it away, and she's going to talk to us just about the Triplex and how she talks to her customers about these products and what really makes them incredible. And then she's going to talk to us about the new products, and I'm super pumped about that as well. Why we are so blessed as a company and as people who get to work for this company to be able to market products this incredible to people, and we really have an answer for people's health. And she's going to teach us why that is that these products are what they say they are. So Rachael, you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, well, I'm really excited to do this for you guys. Morgan might have built me up a little too much, so I hope that I don't disappoint. I really want to kind of take a cue from, our company has done such a good job in the last couple of months.
Water in that plant out there.
Somebody's not muted, Mark. You got that one muted? Okay. So really, I feel like the company, with our branding, I don't know if all of you guys are aware of this, but leading up to the release of our new products, corporate had both a products focus group and a marketing focus group. And those groups worked real closely with one another to make sure that not only, it doesn't do us any good if we have these amazing products and then we don't know how to market them, or vice versa. You can have like brilliant marketing, but if your products are just kind of like so-so. So I'm very excited about the direction that corporate is taking us, and that is really the direction that I want to take you guys on tonight. So from this point forward, I think that all of us, when we are going to try to explain to our potentials what it is that our products do, we really need to go back to that garden analogy that corporate gave us. And if you've ever planted a garden before, or if you've got, like flower beds at your house, you know that when it's springtime, when it's planting season, you've got to go out, you've got to weed the flower beds, you've got to clean out all the yucky stuff, get rid of all the leaves, get rid of all the garbage. You put your seeds in, you feed them, and then you have to protect them as they grow. And that's essentially the path that people are on with our products as well. So remember, weed, seed, feed, and protect. And those are the 4 areas that we're going to focus on tonight. And I am not going to go super technical with you guys. I am a blue personality that masquerades as a green, I think is what my friend Becky says. A little bit of my background, for those of you that don't know, I do not come from a medical background. I was actually a science teacher. I have a degree in agriculture. So I tend to think in, more scientific ways to begin with. But being a teacher, my passion really is to educate people. And I my story is, I always say it's like a Lemony Snicket's school of, or a series of misfortunate events, or whatever the name of that book is. I went through a period in my life that I unaffectionately refer to as hormone hell. And I basically intuitively knew that something was not right in my body. This mainly happened after the birth of both of my children. So something was going on with my hormones. I'd go to my doctor and I would tell him what was going on, and he would tell me, it's just because you're a new mom, you're supposed to be tired. But I can remember being at a point where I was in Walmart with a grocery basket, and I literally did not know if I was going to be able to make it to the front of the store with my basket. I was in so much pain. And that is really what set me on a course to, if you can't figure out what's the matter with me, then I'm going to figure out what is the matter with me. And it taught me probably one of the greatest life skills that I have, and that I think anybody can learn, and that is to learn how to advocate for yourself. So often when we walk into a doctor's office, we think they're the boss and we're just there to do what they say. And in reality, they work for you. And so I started to advocate for myself. I started to research. I started to learn what it was that was missing in my body and what I needed. So I had the opportunity to work with a great naturopathic doctor. And by the time I found Plexus, I was at about 85%. And from where I had been, 85% was great. But it still wasn't allowing me to be the kind of wife and the kind of mom and the kind of me that I wanted to be. And so when I very first learned about Plexus, I knew, because of my unique issues with my thyroid, with my adrenals, that I had to be really cautious about what I took. And the funny thing is that in this entire health journey, not once did anybody ever talk to me about gut health. And that was really the missing link for me. And so once I researched our products and I started on them, I became so passionate. I don't know that you'll find anybody more passionate about these products and what they do than you will in me. So let's start by talking about our gut. Let's talk about how we weed our gut. And, for all of us, this the addition of Vitalbiome has been a little bit of a paradigm shift. And there's a learning curve for it, because we all thought, okay, we've already got this great probiotic in Probio 5. Why do we need this new guy? Is it a one or the other? Which one do I start with? And the reality is, it's something that we kind of already knew about Probio 5. Morgan, I think. The reality is that when we're talking about probiotics, one of the things that comes up very often is something called the CFU, or the colony forming units. And we knew all along that Probio 5 had a pretty low colony forming unit. We got great results from it. It did a good job, but it only had 2 million CFUs, and that was for taking 2 probios. And so, we were constantly having to tell people, okay, bump it up to 3 or bump it up to 4, or can you really take too many because, the CFU is so low. The reality is that Probio 5 was never designed to repopulate or recolonize the gut. It was designed to kill off bad bacteria, which we all know it has very efficiently done from day one. So it weeds out intestinal yeast and bad microbes. The takeaway that I train my team on Probio 5 is to remind people that it is a 3-in-1 product. When they understand that they're getting 3 different things in one product, they're like, oh, okay. For myself, it replaced 3 individual products that I was taking into one. And so there are 5 strains of bacteria. That's why it's called ProBio 5. There are enzymes in it. And then there is an antifungal, a natural antifungal. And I think a lot of times we really focus on the antifungal, and it is wonderful. Its name is Saccharomyces boulardii. You could spend hours just researching the health benefits of it. It's very, it promotes low inflammation. So it's pro-anti-inflammatory. It's been listed as the most important probiotic strain for anybody with an autoimmune disease to be on. That was in the American Journal of Medicine. But I think a lot of times we look over the enzymes that are in ProBio 5. And what those enzymes do is they break down something called biofilm. So in your mind, I want you to think about like a beetle bug. Do y'all have those in Arkansas and in Indiana? We have lots of them in Texas. What happens when you step on one of those beetle bugs? You hear this crunch, right? That's because you've broken up what's called their exoskeleton. It's the protective layer that they have that protects them from predators. Well, literally, the bad bacteria that lives in your gut, it also has that same protective barrier. It has like an exoskeleton, and that's what we refer to as biofilm. So the enzymes that are in ProBio 5 work to literally start shredding and disintegrating that biofilm so that the antifungal and the other what's the word that I'm looking for? Fungal killing or fungal eliminating probiotic strains are able to do their job. So we're not ever going to eliminate ProBio 5 from anybody's regimen. It's a great standalone product, but obviously, all of our clinical studies are based on what it combined with BioCleanse and Slim does. So if you are visiting with somebody and they don't really understand why they need 2 probiotics, it's really good for you to go back to this weeding and feeding analogy. So ProBio 5, that is your weeding product. That is getting rid of all of the bad stuff. Now, obviously, we're always going to recommend that people take ProBio 5 in conjunction with BioCleanse. That is, they are companion products that are meant to work together. Because, and I don't know if this has been the experience for you guys, until I got into Plexus, I did not know that there are a lot of people that just don't go to the bathroom. I mean, I talk to people on a weekly basis that might have a bowel movement every 10 days. And, we've all kind of heard the silly but true car wash analogy that if 3 cars go in, 3 need to come out. If they're not, there's a problem. But speaking at a hormonal level and at a toxin level, if you are not having regular daily bowel movements, if you require a cup of coffee first thing in the morning to be able to go to the bathroom, then you're struggling with constipation. And your bowel movements are your body's natural way of eliminating toxins, of the stuff that you didn't need from your food. Let's get rid of it. It's waste. But 2, in terms of our hormonal health, and especially as we get older as women, you do not want to have a buildup of excess estrogen in your body. And the only way that your body has to get rid of extra estrogen is through bowel movements. So when you start taking a product like ProBio 5, and you start to kill off all of these bad bacteria, and when bad bacteria dies, they release toxins. And those toxins are what give us those symptoms of die-off. If you've got somebody that's struggling with constipation and they jump right in with ProBio 5, but they haven't made sure that their bowel movements are regular, they're going to be in a world of hurt. And so that's the reason why it's important to have these conversations with people and make sure, like, hey, if you're not already going to the bathroom regularly, let's have you start on BioCleanse for a couple of days. Let's get stuff moving, and then we're going to add in ProBio 5 because we don't want to do the reverse and then them end up quitting because, you know, they were having miserable die-off symptoms. The next thing I want to talk about is seeding. So you've gone in, you've weeded out the yard or the bad stuff. You've cleaned out the flower bed.
Hey, Rachel, hold on just 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me mute everyone again. As people are joining, it's like unmuting.
Oh, no, I totally know.
1 second. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're great. So we talked about weeding the garden. Now let's talk about feeding it. So remember, weeding is ProBio 5, but we also want to have BioCleanse in there because your body has to have a mechanism for getting rid of all of the bad stuff. So weeding is ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. Seeding is where Vitalbiome comes in. So I told you a second ago that ProBio 5 had 2 billion colony-forming units in it. Vitalbiome has 20 billion colony-forming units in one capsule. So that is a dramatic difference in the number of, you know, live bacteria that you're repopulating your gut with. So remember I told you when we talked about ProBio 5, yes, it was a potent fungal killer, but it was not efficient because of the strains that were in it and because there weren't enough of the strains. It was never going to be able to do the job of actually repopulating or recolonizing the gut with good bacteria. So that's what Vitalbiome is doing. We've got 20 billion CFUs in one pill. It is, what is that noise? Y'all hear that? There's like some crazy noise going on in my house, like a nursery rhyme or something.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I heard it. It sounded like an ice cream truck or something.
I don't know what's going on. This is the craziest night. Okay, so one of the things that made me so excited, and if you were unfortunate enough to be sitting near me at convention, you probably heard me squealing about some of the things that they were saying because I was so excited, because one of the things that I've wanted to see Plexus do for a long time to really set us apart from other supplement lines is so somebody can go in and do a study on, say, something like a probiotic or even like Garcinia cambogia, one of the ingredients that is in Slim. And they can say, because of the clinical studies, this was shown to have these results. Well, then companies can come in and they can say, oh, that ingredient was clinically proven to do this, but they're not required by law to put the actual level of the product, so the milligrams or the amount of the ingredient used into the product. So they're kind of making a false claim, right? Because we know that in order to achieve the results that people are getting based on our clinical studies, you know, it's on taking 2 Slims per day. So if we want those same results, we need to be doing 2 Slims per day. So one of the things that the formulators did when they created Vitalbiome was they basically made it to where it would be effective at the real dose. They made sure that based on all of the studies of these 8 probiotic strains that they added to it, that they used the doses that were used in those studies. And that is huge because that's where the clinical documentation comes in. So in Vitalbiome, we have 8 diverse probiotic strains, and those probiotic strains were proven in the in vitro studies that were done in Belgium to reduce anxiety, to relieve GI distress or discomfort. So that could be anything from diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas. Vitalbiome also helps to stabilize your stress hormones. I've seen a lot of things floating around on Facebook saying that such and such product that we have lowers cortisol. That's not good information, y'all. the information that we have is that it stabilizes it. And so when we look at it stabilizing stress hormones, that means it's coming in, and let's say you have too much cortisol, what's going to help to bring that down into range? Let's say you don't have enough cortisol. Well, it's going to help your body to bring that level up as well. So it's going to help your body get to a stabilized place, because so much of that plays out in the gut. I'm going to go ahead and address this because I know it's going to come up, and it's already coming up a lot. You know, we've got brand new products, and obviously people are excited to use them. You know, you start saying that Vitalbiome reduces anxiety. People have said that it's helping with their libido. You're going to have people saying, oh my gosh, I want that. But truthfully, there is an order to the way that we need to introduce these products, and we really need to make sure that we've got people on ProBio 5 for probably a good 4 weeks before we add in Vitalbiome, because, you know, it's kind of like too much of a good thing is sometimes not so good. So we've covered weeding, we've covered seeding. Now I want to talk about feeding, okay? So
hey, Rachel, can I interrupt you real quick? I'm sorry. So you said you definitely recommend not introducing Vitalbiome to someone unless they've been on ProBio for like 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. Yeah. So why is that? What is a negative impact they could have from just
it's twofold. We know, and we've known for a long time, that depending upon how toxic, and everybody's got a different, you know, toxicity level or threshold for their ability to deal with die-off. I've had people that can jump right in on ProBio 5 and they do fine. Mm-hmm. You know, I have people that we've spent a month or more at one ProBio 5 because their die-off is so severe. Right. And that's reasons that we have to prepare people in advance. Like, this is something that you may experience. It's actually a good thing if it happens, because it means it's working. We just need to troubleshoot, you know, water intake and listening to your body and all of those things. I am also of the philosophy that if you start too many things at one time and you have a reaction to something, you're not going to know what it is. And so I think if you can have people, you know, first and foremost, you've got to make sure that they are having a bowel movement every single day. If they're not, they need to be on BioCleanse to start with until those bowels get moving. If their bowels are already moving okay, then I think it's fine to start them off on ProBio 5. I generally have people do one ProBio 5 for a week. If they don't have any, you know, negative reaction, or, you know, if they just do great on it, then I say, okay, let's go ahead and jump it up to 2. You know, and our standard has always kind of been getting people to 4 ProBio 5 and leaving them there for a couple of months. But I think that we're going to see now with Vitalbiome that we don't need to have people on near as high a dose of ProBio 5 anymore. They're going to be able to back down on that. With Vitalbiome, you know, we talk about terms like die-off a lot in Plexus, and I think oftentimes we just write things off as like, oh, that's just die-off. Oh, that's just die-off. I think it's really important to know what die-off actually is, so that you can prepare people for the symptoms of it. So die-off is what I told you guys a little bit ago. Die-off happens when you either introduce a high level of probiotics, you introduce an antifungal, or you introduce some other, you know, fungal killing mechanism. And what happens is those bad bacteria, as they're dying, as they're decomposing, they release toxins, and those toxins have to be eliminated from the body somehow. So it's actually that release of toxins that makes people get symptoms of die-off. So common symptoms of die-off are flu-like, with or without a fever. I'll tell you that when I started the new Slim, I had die-off and I had a low-grade fever for a couple of days. Joint and muscle pain or achiness, body aches, being moody, being more tired than normal, rashes, skin rashes can be a very common symptoms of die-off. Even getting like fever blisters. If you're prone to get those, you may find that, oh my gosh, you know, I'm seeming to have more of this. Another thing is excess mucus production. So you might feel like you are really stuffed up or you sound boogery. I know this is kind of gross, but you also may find that there's a mucus in your stool. That's another die-off symptom. And then brain fog. I mean, brain fog is like one of the worst ones, like that feeling of walking into a room and you know you went in there for a reason, but you can't remember why. Or it's like there's a word that you're trying to think of and it's out there somewhere, but you just can't get it. Those are common symptoms of die-off. And like I said, it's because toxins are dying from pathogens. And those pathogens could be bacteria, they could be parasites, they could be candida. Basically, those toxins overwhelm the body's ability to clear them out, okay? So here's my reasoning for not starting ProBio 5 and Vitalbiome at the exact same time. I think, you've got to let ProBio 5 and BioCleanse get in there and do their job. But if you were to go in with Vitalbiome right away, you're almost just overwhelming the system. It's like death of pathogens by good soldiers or death of pathogens by bombing. And it can overwhelm some people. It can be too much for them. So I'm not saying hard and fast ProBio 5 for a month, but maybe at least a good solid 2 weeks just to see how they're going to do. And then, you know, y'all, everybody's bodies are so individual. We were told at convention it was best to do Vitalbiome in the morning on an empty stomach because the bacterial strains that are in it really thrive with stomach acid. But we've also heard people say now that we've been on it, you know, like a month, that they felt like it was making them tired. Well, that could be due to die-off. People that I have that are experiencing that, I have had them actually flip-flop and do Vitalbiome at night and ProBio 5 in the morning for a while until their body kind of adjusts and gets used to it. You have to remember, this is 3 new products in, you know, I guess a 2-month time if we got New Slim. And we were all just kind of getting used to New Slim when we got Vitalbiome and we got Xfactor. So any questions on that, Morgan, before I move on Vitalbiome?
No, thank you. That was really helpful. We did have one question in the chat that said, could you is Vitalbiome effective on its own? You know, I'm getting new customers just off that Vitalbiome alone, people coming to me and, you know, and that's great. I'm certainly not going to turn them away. And as much as I try to, you know, encourage the triplex, sometimes we can really only get a person to do one product at a time. And you have to, you know, convince them of that and work up. So do you feel like that it can be effective on its own and it's okay? Just talk to them about, you know, the possible, you know, die-off and just educate them some before they get it.
Absolutely. I do think so. Absolutely. Because the studies that we had on Vitalbiome were on it alone. It wasn't in conjunction or companionship with like Triplex. So absolutely.
Okay.
So now going to the feeding part of it, this is, you know, the like Miracle Grow analogy. You go out and you feed your plants. So the new Slim does exactly what the old Slim always did in terms of blood sugar balancing, in terms of helping with inflammation, in terms of helping people's, you know, lipid profile to look better. It still helps your body to burn fat, not muscle. So all of the things that we've always told people about Slim, we can still say all of those things about it. The biggest changes to it were that it used to be sweetened with both stevia and Lohan, and now it's just stevia, and they actually reduced the amount of stevia that is in it So it does not have as sweet of a taste now as it used to. And then obviously the most, significant change is that they removed polydextrose from the new Slim. I don't know if y'all used to get questions from people about why does it have polydextrose in it, and you'd have to explain that. Well, we don't have to answer that anymore. It doesn't have it in there. They have replaced it with XOS. I'm not even going to try to pronounce what XOS stands for. We all know it as XOS. So XOS is derived from corn. A lot of prebiotic fibers are derived from inulin or chicory, but XOS is derived from corn, non-GMO corn. We have people with corn sensitivity or allergies that have taken the new Slim and they've done just fine. And then we've had one or two people that, feel like they didn't do so good on it. I hope that they'll keep the old Slim around just for that reason. Although then I laugh because the polydextrose in old Slim came from corn. So I'm like, is it really the corn? So whatever. So I think the most interesting thing about XOS, we've all heard what they told us at Big Reveal and what they told us at convention is that, they saw those beneficial bacteria, the lactobacillus, went up by 365 times, and bifidobacterium 290 times, Akkermansia 250 times. And I'm just going to say this here because I know that it times and percentage can get confusing. So if we're talking about lactobacillus increasing 365 times, that means 36,500% increase. Bifidobacterium would be 29,000% increase. So sometimes that sounds a little bit more significant when you put it in those terms versus just, it increased this by such and such time. So the Akkermansia, if you guys haven't spent a lot of time talking about Akkermansia is just a bacteria that is commonly found in so when they're testing for these bacteria, they take stool samples. That's how they come up with these numbers. Akkermansia is found in high levels in people who are very lean and have like a low body fat percentage. Akkermansia levels are very low in people who are overweight or obese. So that's where we begin to draw the parallel between if we can get the Akkermansia level up, then literally as you start to change your gut, you start to change the way that your body uses food, the way that it digests food, what it holds on to, what it doesn't. So one of the studies that I was reading, and don't quote me on any of these numbers, but it was basically like a person with a high level of Akkermansia that eats a piece of bacon, and let's say a piece of bacon has, 200 calories and 10 grams of fat in it. I have no idea how much bacon has in it. I'm just using that as an example. A person with a high level of Akkermansia would use those calories. Somebody with a low level of Akkermansia that ate the exact same thing, their body would actually get more calories out of the bacon. So that's crazy. Yeah. So that's the reason why you can have, when you look at diets and you think we're eating the exact same thing, why is that person losing weight and I'm not? Well, it may very well come back to the level of Akkermansia that you have in your body. So the other thing about the XOS, and I always tell people when I'm talking about XOS, is I want you to think of the word intelligent. It is an intelligent prebiotic. The other prebiotics that are on the market, all prebiotics are like FOS, GOS, XOS. All of the other prebiotics that are on the market, like I said before, they're derived from inulin. They go in and they feed both the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So it would be like you hadn't weeded your garden at all. You've planted it. It's still full of weeds, and you're going to go in and put Miracle Grow on everything. So why would we want to do that, right? Why would you feed your weeds? So XOS only feeds good bacteria. When that happens, the good bacteria start growing and they start gaining population in the gut. And when they do that, they essentially are starving off, that now the bad bacteria is starving because it's not getting fed anymore. And the good bacteria are growing and multiplying and taking up more room. So they're crowding out the bad bacteria. And that is the reason that we had people experience die-off on New Slim. Even those of us who had been on Old Slim and on ProBio 5, for me for 3 years, I still had die-off. And that is the reason why. That's the reason that Cindy has suggested we may need to start, and this is really good, especially if I know a lot of us are running like 7-day challenges. You may need to tell your people for the first couple of days of that challenge to start off on half a stick of Slim versus a whole stick. Don't let anybody start off on 2 sticks of Slim per day. Like, they will hate you. Don't do that. Start them off and let them just go low and slow. The other thing you have to remember is this is prebiotic fiber. Well, fiber increases bowel motility. So if you're hearing from people, I can't tell you how many texts I've gotten of like, does the pooping ever stop? And I'm like, yes, it does. But you may need to prepare people for the fact that, you may be going to the bathroom more. That's really a good thing. It's your body getting rid of all that bad stuff. And the other thing is this is now a patent pending formula. We did not own the patent on Plexus Slim because it was developed by an outside product developer, and that there was nothing that kept him from taking that product and maybe tweaking it just a little bit and then trying to sell it to somebody else. And so that's not going to happen anymore. So I'm really excited about the patent pending formula. And so then the last part of this, we've gone through weed, we've gone through seed, we've gone to feed. Now we're going to talk about protect. How do we protect? Now that we have this vibrant, growing microbiome, and y'all, like, the field of research on the microbiome is so exciting, but you literally have a nerve in your body. It's called the vagus nerve, and it runs from your brain to your gut and your gut to your brain. And so there is like a highway of communication between the microbiomes and your brain. It's the reason that we call the gut the second brain. We talked about at convention about, dopamine and serotonin are made in your gut. So if you want to, have a better mood, have a happier outcome, deal with less anxiety, deal with less depression, deal with less moodiness, PMS, etc., you've got to address your microbiome. So the new Xfactor, and I want to kind of point out as I'm going through this some of the differences between this Xfactor and the original Xfactor, which I also hope that we will be keeping as well. So Xfactor Plus, I will tell you, I got to visit with Dr. Zhang, who is over product development now for corporate. I got to talk to him in November, and one of the things that he said is that he wanted to reformulate Xfactor because it really was not a complete multivitamin. It was a great B-complex vitamin, but it was lacking in some other areas that would make it be nutrient dense. So we still have that same high potency B-complex formula. We have the methylated B12. We have the methylated folate, which are so important. But I also want you to know that they made sure and were intentional when they reformulated this to use the most bioavailable and bioactive forms of these vitamins. So they got the most naturally occurring ones. They used what's called chelated versions of them. Anything that's chelated, it's a lot easier for the body to absorb it and to use it versus some synthetic vitamins where it's like your body's got to take this and turn it into this so that it can then be used. We're not going to have that struggle anymore. It also is loaded with polyphenols. And so that's really the magic thing, even with Slim, when they did the studies, it wasn't just the XOS that made the new Slim so amazing. It was the XOS in combination with the polyphenols that are in Slim that made those good gut bacteria increase. And so we have a similar thing going on with the Xfactor Plus. It now has 100% or more of the recommended daily allowance of 19 vitamins and minerals. That was one other thing, when people would always say, oh, what product would you like to see Plexus add? I used to always say I would love to see minerals, because you can be very healthy in terms of your body's amount of vitamins and still be mineral deficient. One of the best analogies that I ever heard about minerals is those of you that have like animals, dogs, cats, whatever. You can put like a bottle or a bowl of fresh water out for your dog, but he'd rather go drink the water that's in the gutter or the rainwater spill off that's like in your yard. And the reason why is because there's something in their body that knows they're deficient in minerals. And so they're drinking that water because it is mineral rich. And so our bodies now are getting these, key minerals and nutrients that were not necessarily readily available to them before. And so because of that, what we know about Xfactor Plus is that it has increased clarity and concentration. It boosts energy levels and metabolism. It improves mood, and it increases the good gut microbes. Basically, it's protecting all that hard work that you've done with the weeding, the seeding, and the feeding. Who would you not recommend Xfactor Plus to? One of the additions to Xfactor Plus is that they added vitamin A to it. Regular Xfactor doesn't have vitamin A. Vitamin A is not a water-soluble vitamin, meaning it can build to toxic levels in the body if too much is taken. So I've had a couple of people that their OBs have not approved Xfactor Plus during the first trimester of pregnancy, but they have for the second and third. So if you've got somebody that's expecting and maybe wanting to use Xfactor Plus in lieu of a prenatal vitamin, just make sure that they clear that with their OB. The other thing is that they added vitamin K. So vitamin K works with vitamin D. They work together. K helps vitamin D to absorb better, to do its job better. Vitamin D is probably the most important vitamin in terms of our immunity, of protecting like our immunity. It's also, it's actually really not a vitamin, it's a pro-hormone. So if you don't have enough vitamin D, your body can't make its other hormones. So we really have to work to keep a good, healthy level of vitamin D. Most people are very vitamin D deficient because we have so vilified the sun that everybody slathers on, SPF 50 before they walk out the door. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because my father-in-law died of skin cancer. So we're very much about protecting our skin around here. But the only way that your body has to get vitamin D on its own is through sun exposure. So you've got to be supplementing with it in order to keep that level up. And by adding the vitamin K, that is going to help with vitamin D absorption. However, vitamin K is a blood thinner. It's a natural anticoagulant. So if you have somebody who is on Coumadin, who's on warfarin, who's on Xarelto, they should take this to their pharmacist, because most doctors don't know that much about vitamins. They should take this ingredient list to their pharmacist and ask if the level of vitamin K that is in this would be okay for them because they're on a blood thinner. And then, sorry, my phone just went off. And then, what was the other one on Xfactor? Oh, okay. So a lot of questions are coming up about the leaf, about the aloe vera, because the original Xfactor had the whole aloe vera leaf in it. It had the skin and it had the gel. The new just has the gel. And the reason why is because all of the research that was done on aloe and its ability to help the body absorb vitamins better was based on the gel form, not on the whole leaf. And by dropping the whole leaf and reformulating this, we are also able now to apply for a patent on this product, and we wouldn't have been able to if we had used the previous version. So that's it on all of these. The only other product that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight, because I think that this is the unsung hero of the entire Plexus line, is ease. I put everyone on and the reason being is twofold. If you've got somebody that's struggling with, yeah, there you go. If you've got somebody who's struggling with their weight, they have inflammation. If you get inflammation down, they will drop weight quickly. So adding ease is a really great complement to Triplex. I also always add it in because it has enzymes in it as well that help with, anybody that is dealing with aches and pains, fibromyalgia, any of the things that go along with gut dysbiosis. But it really all goes back to inflammation, because if you've got dysbiosis in your gut, then there's inflammation. That's part of the reason that we see that excess mucus. So I think adding ease is a great complement. Now, I realize most people aren't going to be ready or willing to start off with 6 products all at once. But it's definitely one, as they start adding to their regimen, that I try to get in there really quickly. Y'all have any questions for me, Morgan?
Okay, raise your hand if you're going to take ease every single day now. Oh my gosh, why am I not taking this all the time? That was super incredible. Like everybody on this call just raised their hand.
So somebody just says, what is the recommended dosage to take it? If you just want to add it to your regimen because you don't have any kind of pain issues going on, then I would just take 2 per day. 2 to 3 per day is great. I had surgery last summer, and as soon, I don't like taking medicine at all, and of course they send you home. I'll answer this ease or nerve question here in just a second. As soon as I got home, I wanted to not have to take the narcotics anymore. I didn't like the way that they made me feel. And so I did previously there was a loading dose that was on the bottle. And then when they reformulated it, they took it, or not reformulated it, but repackaged it. They took that off. If you've got somebody that is dealing with any kind of pain, if it's the post-surgical pain, if it is fibromyalgia, if it's a bad back or crummy knees or, arthritic hands, I would do the loading dose, and that is 3 to 4 pills 3 times per day. So 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at bedtime would work great. Nerve is an awesome companion to ease. And I can, fibromyalgia is such kind of, unfortunately, a catch-all diagnosis. Some people, it really is more just like a muscular ache and pain. For some people, there's a nerve component to it. They have, pins and needles, or that sharp and stabbing pain, or I took it post-surgically, because when you have surgery and everything starts to grow back together, you get these nerve zaps where it feels like somebody hit you with a cattle prod. I'm not kidding you guys. I started taking ease and nerve, 3 of each, 3 times per day, and within 3 days I was completely out of pain. My swelling reduced, and all those little nerve zaps went away. So I cannot recommend those products enough. I will also tell you, this is just me, anybody that I have that comes to me that is struggling with their adrenals, I put them on Nerve, and I don't put them on BioCleanse. And the reason why, unless they're constipated too, the reason why is that Nerve has chelated magnesium, and it has magnesium glycinate in it. And that is like really calming for the nervous system. It gets people out of pain. It's relaxing. And so that may be something, like if you're going through a particularly stressful time in your life, that's a great product to recommend. If you know somebody that struggles with hemorrhoids, get them on Nerve and Ease immediately. If you've ever read through the ingredients list on Nerve, it sounds like a Harry Potter spell. But it has all of these it's like butcher's broom and horse chestnut extract and quercetin. Those are, what's the word, Michael? Is it vasodilator? My husband's a nurse. They are vasodilators. So what they do is they take your blood vessels and they open them up so that blood flow can return to that area. And the body, and it's getting oxygen again, it's getting blood flow again, and that's what helps to get people out of pain. And the thing about Nerve is that not only does it help to reduce pain, but it also helps the nerves to regenerate because it's got methyl B12 in it and some other great things that actually have been proven to help nerves regenerate. So, but yeah, if I read something, and one of the supplement regimens that proctologists put people with hemorrhoids on is this butcher's broom and horse chestnut extract and all of that stuff. So there's your little tidbit from me.
Oh my gosh, that was so fascinating. Rachel, seriously, super helpful. I do have a question though, because you've mentioned issues with adrenals several times, and it seems like that's a common thing, and more commonly, like, it's a problem with people and they don't even know it's a problem.
Absolutely.
You know? So what are some telltale signs of a person who may be struggling with issues with their adrenals? How would you know?
Well, like unrefreshed sleep. I mean, there are people that sleep 13 hours a night and they wake up in the morning and they still feel like they could go back to bed. They could literally sleep all day. Light sensitivity, if you find that you're just like, oh my gosh, noise is a big one. So let's say you're in your kitchen and you don't know that your toddler has wandered in and they drop something on the ground and you are like a cat, that jumps on the countertop. I would come out of my skin and I would yell at my kids because it was such a massive startle reflex. That's an adrenal thing. Problems with blood pressure, especially low blood pressure, getting dizzy upon standing up, or your body not really being able to regulate its pressure. Cravings for sugary or salty foods can be telltale adrenal signs. Heart palpitations, muscle aches and pains. But the biggest thing overall with adrenals is and you have to understand that we could probably do a call just on adrenals sometime, is that your body has this circadian rhythm, and your level of cortisol should be its highest in the morning, so that when the sun comes up, your body's like, okay, the sun's up, I'm awake, I'm getting up, I'm ready to go about my day. And then that level should steadily drop throughout the day until it gets to nighttime, when it should be at its lowest, so that your body says, okay, I'm tired, I'm ready to go to sleep. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that wake up with it the exact opposite. It's too low in the morning. They cannot get up and get going. They've pumped themselves up on coffee and on energy drinks and Lord knows what. And then they get to nighttime and they're like, maybe they're falling asleep on the couch at 8 o'clock, but by 10 or 11, they're like, hey, I'm the life of the party. And so they're up Facebooking for 2 and 3 in the morning, and then they just set themselves back down, this vicious cycle again. Here's the thing. With adrenal fatigue, there are stages to it. And so it's really important, if this is something that you suspect that you have, that you have a practitioner that can test it. So that you know what you're dealing with. Because unfortunately, the symptoms of low cortisol and high cortisol almost mimic one another exactly, but the treatment for them is completely and totally different. But if you have somebody that comes to you and says, hey, I'm really interested in Plexus, I've heard that it can help with adrenals, I need you to know that there are 3 products they absolutely cannot take. They cannot do Edge, they cannot do Accelerator Plus, and they cannot do Boost because of the caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you do recommend, I mean, obviously Triplex and then Ease. Was it Ease or Nerve you said is so good for adrenals?
I would do both because the thing
okay.
with adrenal fatigue is another, and this is one of the like kind of silent parts of it, but a big thing with your adrenals is when you have inflammation that just will not go away. When I had it, I had an issue with my eye where I was putting cortisone eye drops in my eye around the clock, and the doctors were like, why can we not get this inflammation down? Well, my adrenals were totally jacked up.
Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky to have you as my friend. My heavens. I mean, do I feel so much more equipped to share these products with people now? I'm seeing tons of head nods. Like,
good.
I'm 3 years in and I feel so much more equipped. I have taken 2 pages of notes, and I'm sure so many others of you. I've also self-diagnosed myself with a few things that I now know I need to be taking as well. Oh, wow. Yeah, so Amber Brown just said, I'm so smart now. Yes, Rachel, thank you for letting us soak into some of your intelligence tonight, so we can all get a little bit smarter and more educated and know how to just more correctly coach and help the people that are going on this journey with us. You know, I mean, if someone is joining underneath you as an ambassador, you're agreeing to help them, you know, on this journey. You're agreeing to, at least if you don't know the answer, find it for them. So thank you for giving us a resource tonight. So we're just better equipped to continue to grow our businesses and help people. And you know that I absolutely love you dearly, and so did all these people on the call. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
You are welcome. It was good to visit with you.
Y'all, awesome. Hope you took lots of notes. So this is recorded, and I'll post this on the team page. I'm definitely going to be actually watching this again, just so I can learn better just how you phrase things. It was so good. So Rachel, I love you. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye, y'all.